argue with Patriots fans on Twitter until about 1 or 2 in the
Serious?
morning. Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, he was up until about 1 or 2 in the morning arguing with Patriots fans
before he's taken on Jacksonville.
Before he was taken on Jacksonville.
Brilliant.
So, you could see even in the interviews they were talking about they can't wait for this rematch. They can't wait for the rematch. They hadn't even played Jacksonville yet, and they're already talking about the rematch against the Patriots. So, especially with James Harrison going over the Patriots, that helped fuel the fire. The Steelers just overlooked Jacksonville, and they shouldn't have done that. I mean, it's just Jacksonville had their number week 3, beat them up silly, and came back and did it again. I mean, when I tuned into that game a little bit late in the first quarter and saw that the score was already 21-0, I was like, wow, Jacksonville came to play.
They came to play.
And clearly the Steelers did not. So, but yeah, like I was saying with the, Patriots, I mean, a lot of people every week after week just complain about the refs. And, if that's all it took was a couple of ref decisions to get the Patriots to continue to be successful, awesome. But it's not the case, because even with the one controversial call against the Titans, or the few against the Titans, in last week's game, they still came out in the second half and put up 20-something unanswered points.
Yeah, Belichick has them crazy prepared. That's all there is to it. I mean, the junk that you're talking about that Pittsburgh did, a Belichick team wouldn't be doing that. And it might come down to coaching. It just might come down to that. And so, okay. Who's angrier at this thing? You or me over Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Niners? Okay? I'm angry from a Rams point of view because I don't want to see that kid jacking with my LA Rams for the next 10 years, which is likely to happen. Now, the Niners sit there and go 5-0 to finish the season with Garoppolo at quarterback. I think my number's right on that. Or you guys now, seriously, something was goofy there. I mean, I thought at the time, what are you doing for a second round draft pick from San Francisco for next year? Now, granted, it's going to be a high second round draft pick. But still, how do you get rid of a guy with that much talent and a future ahead of him? It's
a tough position that football GMs are put in. And obviously, the general manager of the Patriots is Bill Belichick as well, handling all personnel movements. And Garoppolo's season his contract was over this year. This was it. So it's either you're going to end up having to dump him at the end of the season because you're not going to be able to pay him $18 to $22 million for a contract that he would demand and still keep Tom Brady around.
Right, and have him sit the bench.
And have him sit the bench at $18 million. There's no hometown discount for a guy that wants to play and hasn't really had his chance. So, I know the Cleveland Browns put up some significant offers for Garoppolo. Belichick turned them down, and I think it was really out of a favor to Garoppolo, giving him a chance to go out and play for a team that actually has a chance at winning and actually doing something. And it's even though the Browns were willing to put up more, everybody knows how Browns treat quarterbacks after their 32 quarterbacks in the last 17 years.
Bernie Kosar was the last quarterback they had. They have not had a quarterback since Kosar.
Have you seen the Browns fans with the jerseys that they have just quarterback names crossed out going down the jersey, and they just keep taping new names underneath, and the list just goes down and all the way to their legs of just names of quarterbacks as they continue to go on. Even the Johnny Manziel experiment didn't really work out. So it's the Browns chew up and spit out quarterbacks left and right. So I don't think Belichick wanted to do that. He was trying to throw a bone to a good player and set him up in a situation. Getting a second round draft pick for the Patriots rather than just losing a player outright, it makes sense. I mean, how often has Brady had to, sit the bench and let a backup play? And the only two times really has been when he tore his ACL in 2008 and when he got suspended for 4 games. And the only other time that a backup ever sees the field is when the Patriots are up by like 75 and Belichick finally says, hey, why don't you go play the last minute and a half of kneel downs?
Oh, and kneel down or hand the ball out. So we got to figure it out for this weekend. Couple of good football games.
Real quick, just one last thing on this weekend.
Okay.
Philadelphia police have released a statement warning business owners to close in case of an Eagles win. So based upon some of the destruction in Philadelphia from last week after the divisional game, they are urging business owners to close. If Philadelphia does end up winning and going on to the Super Bowl, there will be likely massive riots in Philadelphia.
Well, here's my problem. I don't mind them rioting if they win the Super Bowl, but don't riot after an AFC or an NFC championship game, okay?
Hey, it's
you
better.
win the NFC and you riot? What's next? We won the divisional title this year. We're going to burn our city to the ground?
Hey, the Buffalo Bills riot almost every first down.
Oh, well, okay. Well, that's to keep warm. They're lighting those fires to keep warm. Basically, there in Buffalo,
and they're jumping through folding tables. If you haven't seen that online thing.
I did see the guy from the up top coming down.
It's every week, and what was funny is when they traveled for the playoffs, they brought their folding tables with them.
Well, good, and they travel well. Especially when they're going down south where it's warmer.
That's right.
Hey, we're going to go down to Nashville. Hey, we're going somewhere, Tennessee, somewhere. Yeah. Okay, Vegas Golden Knights tonight. Let's talk some hockey here. Jump into this one right off the bat. Vegas Golden Knights, best team in the West record-wise for the first half of the season. Second half of the season, they had a tie against Edmonton, overtime loss, really. So they got a point out of it. Overtime loss against Edmonton, then lost in a great hockey game this week. And that was on Tuesday night when they traveled to Nashville and lost 2-1. 45 shots on goal, and lost that game. And it was just an incredible game. I think I said 2-1. It was 1-0. Sorry,
it was
1-0.
Yeah.
1-0. Thank you. It was 1-0 in that game. First game they played against Nashville here was 2-1. Then they played there in Nashville. And it's 1-0 that final. Tonight they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning, a team that they beat here in Vegas 2-1 earlier this year. Tampa Bay is the best team in the East. They're the best team in the NHL right now. And the Vegas Golden Knights, best team in the West right now.
Unbelievable.
So, it's crazy.
The 29-11 Vegas Golden Knights, 29 wins. I mean, and you look at, they're in the Pacific and they are just, above, top caliber team. San Jose, usually, very good and still are, obviously. LA Kings, they've gone through all of these teams too. When they come to Vegas, the Golden Knights have put a beating on them.
Yeah, teams catch the Vegas flu when they come to town. Is the theory behind that they're going out partying and having too much fun the night before, and so they don't play when they get here. I don't put much credence into that. I really don't. Because the team is just too good, the crowd's too crazy, and they're a high quality team. I think the Vegas flu takes away some of the credit from the team, from the coach, the players, and what they're doing and the effort that they're putting out. But that being said, they've got a great road trip here to prove themselves against top teams. And even though it was 1-0 against Nashville, that was a great hockey game. If you're Gerard Gallant after that game, you sit the guys down and you go, you know what? You did everything to win this game. Okay, sometimes the puck doesn't go in, and they get that. They're professionals. Tampa will be an interesting one tonight. I like the under on this at 6 points. Marc-Andre Fleury is going to be in the nets. Cody Eakin is going to be playing tonight. I think that game starts at 4:30 Pacific time, so it's getting underway here in just a little more than an hour away from that game getting underway, and we'll see what the Vegas Golden Knights can do against the best team in the East. Again, they've got a 1-0 record against Tampa Bay. Beat them here when they came to Las Vegas in December and had that torrid December. The Knights were the best team in the NHL in December. Now think about that. How crazy is that? That you're an expansion team and you get that sort of record, have that sort of success. Okay, and then they play after the game tonight against Tampa Bay. They then play at Florida, and then I think at Columbus, and then they come back here to Vegas. So they've got some road games. Interesting road trip here for the Golden Knights and where they're headed. Rebel basket. Oh, anything more hockey? You want to jump into some hockey?
Just
jump in here.
Real quick, I have to apologize to our fan base, our listeners. I was way wrong at the beginning of the season. Back when we talked about the Golden Knights coming, being here in Vegas.
Right.
We talked about the actual ticket prices. We talked about it's going to push locals out. These tickets are too high in price. I must apologize. They have been selling out. The locals are coming out. They're coming out in force. They are putting on a great show. They are cheering for their team. They are energized. They are pumped. Vegas loves hockey right now. And I have to say, obviously, the Golden Knights being so successful this year really does help that. If they came out and they were, an under 500 team, I don't think that people would be coming out as energized. But right now, because they're doing so well, they are absolutely absolutely selling out, and I was wrong because I said if with those ticket prices, nobody's going to be buying. And guess what? People are buying, and people are buying.
And I think if you were to bet somebody whether they'd be 29-11 or 11-29, I would have put my house on 11-29.
Oh yeah,
okay. Anybody would have done that and said you're an expansion team. You're not going to be 29-11. Forget that. That's not reasonable. First team in the league in the first year. Let's go with the opposite. But they are that, and that's helped. And I think this town is, and I know it. I've lived here 34 years now. And this town is hungry for a winner ever since the destruction of the Rebel basketball program, and it has not recovered from that, from 1992 when that happened. So now we're talking 27 years later. We've had nothing to cheer about in this town sports-wise. Nothing to cheer about sports-wise in this town. So the town was hungry for something, first of all. So you had that environment, number one. Number two, then you have a team that comes out and wins. And you have a sport like hockey, which is an overly aggressive, crazy, breakneck, take-no-prisoners, kick-butt sport that is just fun to watch, the nature of the game. You put that combination together with fans that are hungry for a winner, and you get a winner. It was lightning in a bottle, and it's worked very well for the Knights, for the city. I couldn't be happier to see it. I know I'm supposed to be an unbiased journalist, but I couldn't be happier to see how it's going and where it's going right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it is exciting. Originally, obviously, long shots to make the playoffs. And before the season, now they're long shots to miss it. I mean, if they continue, if they continue on, obviously a lot of teams make the playoffs in hockey. It's easier to make the playoffs than it is to miss the playoffs, it seems. But
well, there's 16 teams make the playoffs and there's 31 teams.
Yeah,
so you do the math. 15 teams do not make the playoffs and 16 teams do. So
literally, statistics say it is easier to make the playoffs.
But the soonest that an NHL team has ever made the playoffs as an expansion team, other than when they added the St. Louis Blues were added, and they had the new teams against the old teams, and you played the original 8 against the new teams. And let's say put it this way, in the last 25 years, in the modern era of the NHL, the soonest an NHL team has made the playoffs as an expansion team is 3 years, and that was the Nashville Predators. And it's 25 years, and the Nashville Predators finally made the finals last year. They lost, of course, to Pittsburgh. But now you look at it, and this team was 200-1 at the start of the season to win the Stanley Cup. Now they got a lot of work to do, so it's crazy to even talk this far. But there are people who put money on the line with this, and they're now 7-1.
And here's a good
to win the Stanley Cup.
Here's a good sports story that you should do for the news, Ron. That you should go look at. I remember at the beginning of the season, all of a lot of local business owners were saying, if the Golden, come out and buy this furniture, and if the Golden Knights make the playoffs, this furniture's free. You should go and do the research and find out all of these businesses that ran that special, because it happens every year at a lot of different sports towns. And I do remember here in Vegas, come buy this 70-inch TV, and if the Golden Knights make the playoffs, it's free.
And was it just make the playoffs, not win the Stanley Cup?
And it was make the playoffs.
Whoa.
And because it was such a long shot, and you should go interview some of those business owners just to see what they think about it now. Are they sweating it? Because
well, they probably buy insurance for that, I'm guessing. And
I would hope so.
I hope they do.
I do remember.
Or else they're closing their doors.
Yeah, on the East Coast. I'm originally from Rhode Island, and I remember Cardi's Furniture ran one. It was not for the playoffs, but it was for the Red Sox winning the World Series. And obviously, after 86 years, you can do a lot of bets that they won't be winning. So they did free furniture sets that were like thousands and thousands of dollars. And I think that year when the Red Sox won in 2004, they lost a few million.
when they were down 3-0 to the Yankees.
Exactly.
I think they sort of came back from that, didn't they?
They did.
Win 4 in a row, less.
One of the most historic comebacks.
4 days in October.
So
it's a great documentary.
That was a great ESPN documentary. So it's it's absolutely exciting seeing the Golden Knights. They're gonna make the playoffs, and hopefully they have a good successful run.
Well, and now we're talking not just make the playoffs, but we're talking about home ice advantage against which teams in the West right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, if they have the best record in the West, they'll have home ice advantage against any team they play, and home ice advantage, as we've seen, is a pretty big deal right here, right now. So they play the Kings, they play the Blackhawks, they play, take your pick, Nashville. They're playing 4 of those 7 games in Vegas. So
most of which they have beat at home, at least. So, they haven't swept the series yet against